Hello, today I'm in Belgrade in Serbia, and I met here my old friend Milja Vuković, who is an art historian and ecological activist, and they are doing amazing stuff about nature in the city, and I wanted her to talk about it.
Well, we are now here in the really beautiful part of Belgrade that is actually something like an example of how cities should be, cities of future should be, and maybe the example of what cities of future, the only way that they could actually have a chance of surviving, which means that they are completely intertwined with serious amounts of greenery and nature. And the approach of the initiative Wild Belgrade that I'm leading.
Divlji
Divlji Beograd, which means Wild Belgrade.
You are leading it.
I am. I'm an
Okay.
administrator of a Facebook page and the main spokesperson, even though it's a whole community actually of people. But the approach and the idea is that we are living in urban ecosystems, which are the fastest spreading ecosystems, one of the biggest ecosystems on the planet, and at the same time they are, if we look at the three components that make all the ecosystems, our ecosystems, urban ones, actually mostly resemble to cancer cells, to something that is fastly spreading. So we are consuming, we are not producing a lot, and we are not turning anything good back to the system. So there is no microbes or scavenger animals who are eating it and bringing it back. So cities have a lot of consumers, very few producers, and almost no degrading component in it. So we resemble in a way to cancer cells, but I had a feeling that urban ecosystems need to actually start to love itself from within. So to love these cancer cells from within by really connecting we humans with partly with our destructive role, because it is significant. Most of harm to the beautiful planet that we belong to, we are making from our urban ecosystems and the way that we live. And the idea is to become responsible for that, change that as much as possible. So not protect the Galapagos iguanas and the beautiful pristine nature somewhere
Also, we
far
should also
away.
call it
No, but not to, because that's abstract, and actually we are not even doing that. We are lying that we are doing that. It's a kind of illusion actually. But to start noticing, perceiving nature first from where we are in our everyday life, not in some escapade going away trips for 1 day, for 3 days, or for however long, but to start curing and really regenerating and changing the way that we are living in the place where we are making the most destruction. And I thought that one of the best ways to do that was the first step is to perceive nature in the cities. And actually I discovered that it's not simple at all, because our attention is going only to the man-made things. We are looking at billboards, we are looking at other people, we are looking at buildings, we are thinking about ourselves, we are planning our trip to the cinema or to some mall or something. And at the same time there is this group of trees now here that is making this beautiful sound. There is, because it's evening, there is this moisture that is slowly rising in the air, and I can feel it on my skin. There is this greenery that can, if I'm sad, that can soothe me and regulate me and balance me already on my way from the bus to my building. There is the song of the nightingales in certain parts of the year. There is the whole thriving, invisible effort that the microbial world is doing in my city. And it's completely, we are ignorant of that. And I think that that's why I felt that the first and really humongous step is in this invitation for us to perceive nature already in the cities and
So what do you
connect.
do in Belgrade? What do you do to people?
I'm the first white mouse, so I'm the first one that needs to change. I'm working for several, now 6, 7, 8 years on fine-tuning my own perception of nature in the cities. So I'm doing everything that I can to connect with the nature already in the cities. And being a storyteller, I'm doing everything to share that with people that are either following the Facebook and Instagram channels, so social media, either speaking to experts like architects, urban planners, forestry engineers. So there is the expert level, there is citizen level, and there is also the systemic state level that is bringing laws and so on. So I'm trying to have this whole scale of where the activities are, because I think all of them are necessary.
And you published some books, some guides. Yeah, you brought me here. Can you show
I
it?
wrote one tiny little thing. So this is called a melem nereči, or melem is it's a beautiful word that means a balm or something that cures you. So these are words. Reči means words. These are regenerative words, and it's actually a tiny collection of words and expressions that are representing our close relationship with the world of nature. So I made a dictionary in a way, but a tiny little one, a collection of words from the languages from this region. That
Like dialects. You like dialectic words, or
these are both archaic words, these are localisms, these are words that describe, so the parts of the book are landscape, forest and the tree, then world of plants, animals, water, and the sun, snow, rain, and wind. These are groups of words that are completely, they could have been another kind of organization, but this tiny little collection is not important just because of the words that are in here, but also because every time someone reads these words, it feeds and it nourishes and it waters his own dictionary that each of us has. So it actually takes care and protects and empowers our own inner collection of words that show our closeness with the world of nature. So that's one thing, for example, that we did among many different. There were workshops, there were walks through wild Belgrade that we organized, which is really interesting because instead of looking at billboards, other people, traffic lights and so on, when we turn our attention to this green tissue of the city, we start understanding how we can, and we are actually using, like people in this area where we are now sitting, are using much less cooling systems during these really hot days because of the power of the trees that are here. But there are so many benefits that it's not just that.
show me
but
this.
we made this tiny, it's called a wild city for children and many other beings, and we made this, as you can see, it turns like this. And one example is building and the surrounding of a building when it is very covered in cement, completely anthropocentric, and not letting the hand towards the green, the life of the nature. And there is another possibility, which is exactly the replica of the neighborhood that we are here. And it's interesting because we didn't just show the examples and there are texts that follow, but we also made this tiny here, as you can see, circles that actually represent animals that live there. So we made this group of animals that live in the city, and we showed which animals are there when we make landscapes like this. And then look at this party, that live around us if we make solutions that are much more biophilic. So we chose the house, the building and the surrounding, the city suburbia and the two possibilities that it can have. Then the city forests, what if they are just acres of industrial trees, or if they are real lively city forests. Then a city park when it's like this, or when it's a thriving place for many beings, and city meadow, when it's very controlled,
A lawn,
heavily
it's a lawn, yeah.
it's a lawn actually, and when it's a real lively meadow. So we made this with the texts that follow, are following this, and with the tiny little stories also about each of the animals. You cut it and then you get introduced. Of course, this is just a tiny little bit that represents how life in the city could function and how it functions at the moment. But I think that the most important thing is for all of us who live in cities to, on one hand, become responsible, not just guilty, but responsible and aware of how pricely actually for the natural system our lives in cities are. And then by perceiving nature and being compassionate towards it and acknowledging its real value and benefits, I think that much more of our creativity and knowledge should go as quick as possible into building different kinds of cities. I think that we are actually living in all models of cities that are not ready to bear with these levels of pollution, either it's noise, voice, water, air, etc., and so many people. But I think that we should change that.
Do you have wildflower meadows in Belgrade? Do like areas where grass is cut less often?
No, not
No.
yet.
I
No
noticed
mosaic
that actually
mowing in Belgrade, except when it happens accidentally.
I noticed in Belgrade actually the grass is cut more often than in Poland. It's quite terrifying. You
I
have
think
a
that
lot of work to do.
it's a social, absolutely, that it's a social problem because it's actually about fees for people who are cutting the grass.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the needs of the urban ecosystem, but it has more to do with the fact that in April, May, June, July, August, people have to get their pays for the work that they do. But I just think that we should switch the work that they are doing. They are more useful things. This is actually not useful. This is destructive.
Milja, you also mentioned that you were working with protests again outside Belgrade. That terrible things are happening in Serbia, also in the forests. And can you tell us what people do to stop this and what's happening actually in Serbia?
There are several problems. One is mini power plants, hydropower plants, and that is something where people are organizing and trying to protect the wild rivers. There is a problem in Jadar Valley where the big company Rio Tinto is doing its best to turn one of the most fruitful valleys of Europe into something where you can really grow good food, into a completely devastated, deserted land by mining for lithium.
Lithium, yeah.
There are factories throughout Europe for cars and now army industry as well that are waiting for this lithium that is already old technology, and we really should leave it in the ground because the price is very high. And there is an area in eastern Serbia called the Homalje Mountains. And Homalje Mountains is in between two large national parks called Đerdap and Beljanica and Južni Kučaj, which are really, really, really important areas for wildlife and biodiversity for the whole of Europe. But Homalje Mountains, even though it is as valuable as they are, is left with this regular level of, which means very low protection. And there is a Canadian company called Dundee that is now doing exploratory research actually in this area, also not abiding the law completely. So it seems that they are using really high quality mountain water from the streams and rivers of Homalje Mountains for their exploration. And there is a group of local activists called Rangeri Istočne Srbije, or Rangers of Eastern Serbia, who are in their private time and basically also risking their lives, trying to protect the Homalje Mountains from this destruction. But what is really alarming is that if there is a huge devastation in Homalje Mountains, both these areas of Đerdap and Beljanica and Kučaj will be struck by that as well, because in nature everything is connected and things are not separated at all. So in this moment we are as citizens looking for many different ways to organize ourselves from the local level by helping the people who live there, but also artists, biologists, scientists. We are now getting there and doing everything that we can to protect it.
Do you chain yourself to trees?
We had several people, young people from Germany, who actually lived in trees in order to protect some forests, who were there in a camp in Homolja Mountain just 1 week ago. So we had some kind of training for that as well. We should now see if there will be someone who will also be ready to tie themselves for trees. But already there are people who very clearly see connection between the life of this landscape and their own life, and who are also willing to give their life
So you
in
make
order to
camps,
protect.
so people come there and do they what in the camps? They patrol the place, document
Some
the
things
stuff?
I can mention, some things I cannot mention,
yeah.
but the camps are now one of the ways that is helping us get organized and give the necessary support to the local population.
We actually have similar camps in Poland, in Bieszczady Mountains. There are also groups of young people protesting against excessive exploitation of forests. So I think I should put you in touch, because there are similar things happening. We don't do lithium though, but just we have excessive use of wood.
In a very neighboring area of Bor, we can clearly see what will happen, because there devastation already happened. There the health toll is really high. We have the highest cancer rates in the whole Serbia there.
Because of what industry?
Because of the mining industry.
Really?
And the whole, the area, you can look it up on maps, you can type the city Bor in eastern Serbia, it looks like moon surface. Like it's really devoid of life, and the levels of really poisonous gases that are let into air of this city by the industry on a daily basis are
oh my God.
all over the. So there is no. It's not like that we have to imagine, make an effort to imagine. We have clear illustrations of what will happen. In that very area. So there are really reasons, not just for people in Homolja Mountain to protect the beauty that they have there, not just for people from eastern Serbia. This is something that these two areas are something that really have significance for the whole of Europe by the wealth of life that is preserved there. There was a movie this June that David Attenborough made about oceans, and one of the proposed conservatory practices is to have some 30% of all of the oceans that we will not touch, where we will leave nature regenerate and clean and look for solutions for all the mess that we are making. Similar approach has the rewilding movement that is present in Europe. So these areas are already really well preserved biodiversity and wildlife. We already have that in Europe. We should not destroy it now because of some not even very important percentages of gold and copper, etc. So-called critical materials that can be found there. Water is a much more critical material than gold in the moment and in the year that we are living now.
Okay, thank you. I wish you all the luck in the fight, in a similar fight that I do, and many people in Poland do, and probably in Serbia, and we're probably gonna explore it and get more and more connections.
Thank you, Lukasz.